Okay, so we all have these big, ambitious goals, right? But how often do they just stay a wish? Well, today, we're going to dive into the science of setting goals that you don't just dream about, but that you actually achieve. Let's get into it. We've all been there. You set that New Year's resolution, you've got all this energy, and then a few weeks later, it's just gone. It's super frustrating, and pretty much everyone goes through it. But here's the thing, it's not you, it's the system. And that's a problem we can totally solve. So, what's going on here? Well, most of the time, we fall into what's called the goal setting trap. And it's not that we're lazy or not motivated enough. Nope. The problem is usually the goals themselves. They're just fuzzy, they're vague, kind of boring, or not really connected to what we genuinely want deep down. And this is a perfect example of what I'm talking about. See the difference? Get fit. What does that even mean, really? It's a wish. But run 3 times a week for 30 minutes? Now that is an objective. It's crystal clear. You know exactly what you need to do. Getting this difference is the absolute first step. Okay, so how do we start building goals that work? It all comes down to laying the right foundation. Before you even think about the how, we've got to lock in 2 core principles. Think of them as the bedrock for everything else. First things first. Your why. Your goal has to mean something to you. I mean, really mean something. It's got to hook into your core values. Because let's be real, when it gets hard, and it will, that deep personal reason is the only thing that's going to keep you going. And that brings us to the second pillar, the what and the how. You've probably heard of this one, the SMART framework. And honestly, it's the gold standard for a reason. It's this super simple but incredibly powerful tool that takes a fuzzy idea and turns it into a concrete, structured plan. So let's just quickly run through what this actually means. Specific, you gotta be super clear, no gray areas. Measurable, how are you gonna know if you're making progress? You need a number. Achievable, make it a stretch, for sure, but not impossible. Relevant, this is huge. Does it actually matter to you? Does it connect back to that why we just talked about? And time-bound, give yourself a deadline. It creates that little bit of pressure that helps you get moving. All right, so we've got our foundation poured. Now it's time to start drafting the actual blueprint. This is where we get into the nuts and bolts of creating a plan that'll guide you from point A to point B. Okay, if you take away only one single thing from our chat today, please let it be this. Write it down. Seriously, this simple act is probably the most powerful thing you can do. It's not just a to-do list, it's like signing a contract with yourself. So why does this simple trick work so well? Well, writing it down literally takes a thought out of the ether and makes it real. And the science backs this up big time. A study by Dr. Gail Matthews found that you are a whopping 42% more likely to nail your goals just by writing them down. So do it. Get that goal out of your head and onto a piece of paper. You know, a huge goal like run a marathon can feel totally overwhelming, right? It's like staring at a giant mountain. The key is to break it down into tiny, manageable steps. Think of them as little milestones. Each one you hit is a small victory that builds momentum and makes the whole thing feel, well, doable. So, a great plan is obviously essential. But let's be honest, the real work is in the day-to-day grind, the journey itself. So how do you stay on track when motivation fades? Let's get into the strategies you're going to need for the long haul. Here's a big one. You don't have to do this alone. In fact, you probably shouldn't. Sharing your goals with someone, a friend, a mentor, creates accountability. It's amazing what a little, hey, how's that thing going, can do. And joining a community gives you that support when you feel like quitting. This isn't just a nice to have, it's a strategic advantage. Oh, and this one is so important. You have to be willing to adapt. Life is going to throw curveballs at you. So you need to build in regular check-ins to see what's working and what's not. And remember, changing your plan isn't failure. It's not. It's just smart adaptation. Okay, let's get into a slightly more advanced tip. This is a real game changer. It's all about how you frame your goal. Are you moving towards something positive or running away from something negative? An approach goal is like, I'm going to eat more vegetables. An avoidance goal is, I'm going to eat less dessert. They might seem like 2 sides of the same coin, but one is way more powerful. And yeah, there's science to prove it. A 2002 study found that people with those positive approach goals had an incredible 69% success rate after 6 months. 69%, that's huge. Focusing on what you want to achieve is just a way more powerful and sustainable motivator. And here's one more key distinction that can make all the difference.
An outcome goal is the final result, right? Lose 10 pounds. The problem is that can be affected by all sorts of things you can't control. A process goal, on the other hand, is about the actions you can control. Exercise 3 times this week. See the difference? When you focus on the process, the outcome usually takes care of itself.
Okay, so when you put all these pieces together, what do you get? It's really more than just a list of tactics. It's a whole new mindset. Let's just quickly recap the big ideas that will help make this a permanent part of how you operate.
First up, embrace the journey. The destination is great, but the real magic, the real growth, happens in the process. The goal is just there to give you direction. It's the daily habits you build that really change your life.
Next, you have to celebrate the small wins. Every little milestone you hit is proof that you're moving forward. Acknowledging that progress is what fuels your motivation and builds the confidence you need for the long haul. And last, but definitely not least, be kind to yourself. You're going to have off days, you're going to mess up. It's a totally normal and expected part of the process. Setbacks are not failures. They're just feedback. They're learning opportunities. So learn from them, adjust your sails, and just keep going. So there you have it. With this framework, a goal stops being some fuzzy, far-off dream and becomes a real destination with a clear map to get there. The only question left is, what journey are you going to begin today?